What is up, team? It is time to take stock on the DPS Warrior. We're only 2 weeks away from the new patch, so I do expect there to be some tuning again still before the patch actually drops. But yeah, it's time to some extent, I'm not holding my breath that Warrior gets some, amazing new change that like changes the world. So where we're sitting, I'm pretty confident is going to be roughly where we're going to end up. Arms has definitely taken some hits, some stray bullets from the whole prop nerf thing with the deep wounds situation on their tier set, and a couple of quality of life changes that do affect some things in negative ways. So we're going to have a look at that in conjunction with how insane the Mountain Thane buffs have been and what implications that therefore has. Yeah, Fury is actually looking like the go-to in all aspects of the next season. Really good for Fury, and let's at least have a quick check on what happened with Arms as to why. So mainly the 4-piece, again, the stray bullet that we copped because of the prot nerf was the deeper wounds buff, was 100%, now only 80, so our damage window on our bleeds has obviously dropped a little bit. That being said as well, it was a really good quality of life for single target, giving us only 1 stack of the guaranteed Mortal Strike crit instead of 2. Because it encouraged you and incentivized you to sit on your second Mortal Strike crit until you got the most value out of the deeper wounds buff. Because the buff only lasts 8 seconds and it doesn't add to duration, so you don't go 2 crits means 8 seconds and 16 seconds. It literally just refreshed back up to 8 as the maximum again. So that was a bit of a feels bad. So in that situation, in single target, you were really heavily incentivized to hold off on spending a Mortal Strike, and that's like the one thing that you just want to be hitting on cooldown regardless anyway, so it did feel a bit janky. On the flip side though, the whole reason that Arms and Colossus works well together is before its AoE profile, and that is where the second charge of the guaranteed crit actually did work really well, because you were essentially just using all your cooldowns and you want to cleave spam, and then you were able to throw in this odd every 8 seconds you threw the second Mortal Strike in to give you a nice dense window of 16 seconds of deeper wounds uptime, and you could just do a really dense 16-second burst window. And that's gone now because you don't get the second charge. Now, in terms of if you like the playstyle, it definitely doubles down on what it was already strong and good at. So it's not like you lose too much being a Colossus Arms Warrior, but just doesn't hold up compared to Fury now, unfortunately. Or at least it's on par to the point where there's benefits from Fury that just outweigh what Arms can do with like survivability. So most notably, you will note that the only change is once you've done Demolish, you definitely want to hit your guaranteed Mortal Strike crit to get the deeper wounds buff. As soon as that's done, don't worry about trying to fish for any more. Not worth it. You will just end up spending way too much global cooldowns on Mortal Strikes to keep this buff rolling than just sending it on cleaves. So if whenever you have to Mortal Strike, you get lucky and it does crit and you get that deeper wounds buff, yay, congrats to you. But don't sit there trying to intentionally only focus on Mortal Striking to keep that buff alive, rather than spending your global cooldowns in your damage amp window with cleaves. What you should do. So the only change in your opener and just general AoE is that every time you demolish, you just throw in 1 Mortal Strike and then continue business as usual. Now, let's flip over to Fury and find out why that is so banging at the moment. From a Slayer perspective, Arms and Fury pretty much in the same position. There was a nice Blade Storm buff by 10%. They both have, your execute emphasis, both through the tier set as well as some talents. Execute on Arms obviously has a better damage profile in that last 35% than what Fury can do, but Fury still brings something to the table in terms of execute, right? So at the current sims and balance level, Fury is beating out Arms in overall. However, if there's absolutely imperative that there is a execute fight where like your phase 2 burn phase or something like that, Arms is potentially going to be the winner for that particular fight. But overall, Fury is looking like your single target go-to. Then come in Mountain Thane for Mythic Plus. This is very good, very fun. The tier set still feels simple and thematically not super like crazy or anything. Like it's not very flavorful, but basically your Thunder Blast, which is the proc chance, or when you hit Avatar, that then also has its chance of 35% to proc some ionizing strikes. Keep in mind, these strikes don't aren't based off per target hit by the Thunderblast. It's just by one cast of Thunderblast. So what I mean by that is if I Thunderblast and 5 people get hit, it's not 35% chance for each person hit will proc this. Otherwise, it'll basically be 100 every single time you're in AoE, and it'll be ridiculously overpowered. However, the 5 strikes that do happen do still hit 5 times on one target. So it both helps in AoE because you guaranteed your 5 to hit anyway, and it will just hit random ones. Whereas at least if you're in single target, all 5 ionizing strikes will target and hit the same boss. So that's really good. Then the 4-piece, this did get some slight rework as well as a buff. The ionizing strike proc does 100% more, but more importantly, when you trigger it, you gain a charge of Thunderblast. It doesn't say it here, but that also resets Thunderblast cooldown now, which is massive. It's the glue that holds this whole situation together. And more importantly, the Thunderblast now deals 100% increased additional damage when you get this tier set proc. Absolutely huge. The reset on it as well. Like I said, it's a glue that holds it all together. In conjunction with a couple other nice little buffs as well. Improved Whirlwind. It used to be 55% splash damage. It's now 65%. So you're doing your full single target rotation, which is dissimilar to the arms profile. You're just sending cleave, and it's all about basically padding damage as much as we don't like to admit it. And you get really cool numbers, but you're essentially just cleaving everything down. Whereas Fury gets the benefit of having good prior damage and just splashing that prior damage out. And now that splash is even better, but we still get to do our full single target rotation on the prior mob or boss. And that in conjunction with now you're prioritizing Bloodthirst in all scenarios, not just Vicious Contempt uptime, but even at the start, because of this talent. So all we care about is these Thunderblast procs, and just Thunderblast anytime it's available. It's 100% your top priority whenever it's up. And Bloodthirst is what feeds into keeping that nice and healthy as well. So Bloodthirst now becomes your primary rage builder, and Raging Blow gets relegated sort of to the filler whenever there's nothing else to hit. Part and parcel of that is at least that filler maintains some value with Blood Craze, so Raging Blows will increase your Bloodthirst crit. Business as usual. You don't care a lot less about hitting the 100% or near 100% crit chance cap now. You're still just going to send Bloodthirst whenever you can because of the Thunderblast talent in the Heroes tree. Slaughtering Strikes as well also gives Raging Blow some value there by increasing your damage on your Rampage. Cool, happy days. Because bleeds become less impactful just across the board, honestly, I like to drop my vicious thunderous words, and part and parcel of that is also getting rid of Bloodborne. There's like, all told, bleeds just account for about 2% of your total overall damage. It's just not really worth putting too many eggs in that basket, unfortunately. And with how many Thunderblasts you're getting as well, Fury is already traditionally known as quite tanky. We have the Victory Rush, Enrage Regen, just Bloodthirst in general, help with sustain. Combine that now with the Thunderblast and how many procs of it we get and how often we're able to hit it. We also get an 8% DR on that has really, really high uptime. We're talking like 70 to 80% uptime on the buff for Keep Your Feet on the Ground. Really, really cool. Even when it comes to things like your Improved Whirlwind, which, like I mentioned previously, has the 10% splash damage increase now from 55 to 65. You don't even need to think about maintaining that buff. You're Thunderblasting so often that it's just a given. Not all the time. I'm going to put an asterisk here, but for the most part, it's very simple to just set and forget, and you're Thunderblasting that often that maintaining this particular buff is very much an afterthought. It's not something you have to consciously worry about too much, which is really cool. Outside of that, there are a couple of unfortunate situations whereby like your Stormbolts is still suffers from being a little bit lame, that you can't pick which the other targets. You know, there's no way of gaming the system where you get the right target stunned by the additional 2 hammers that get thrown out. So that's a bit of a shame. And more importantly, this wonderful talent in theory still sucks absolute massive dick because it only shields for 300k. We have like 16 million health now, and yet this still shields so small. It would make, you know, Intervene super engaging and fun to actually be able to help people with magic DRs, whether it's from I don't know, the shield could help with like dots or something, or some cast that's about to go off and we don't have an interrupt for him. We're like, I'll save you, intervene, like, save the mage from dying because he ran out of defenses or some shit. Either way, there was a world where this could be very, very good, but don't get baited. Unfortunately, it still sucks. Massive donkey dick, and needs to be 10x'd at least. And even then, like 3 million shield, then we can start talking, right? But 300k is just not worth it, unfortunately, at all. But that's where we're sitting with Mountain Thane. So all things considered, very, very powerful build. Really fun and engaging to play. But alas, I digress. Let me know what you guys think if you've had a chance to test it out. Really fun. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.